Welcome to Raj Malhotra's IAS Academy. I am Surbhi Sardana and today we are going to take a detailed discussion of Annual Survey of Education Report or the ASER report. ASER report or popularly known as ASER report in Hindi. That discussion would be taken today and हम देखेंगे we'll see that why this report is important for you. आपके लिए ये report पढ़ना ज़रूरी क्यों है? If you're an aspiring bureaucrat, if you're preparing for civil services, education is something that you will be planning in your area or as a policy maker in the coming years. Education India में कैसे carry out किया जाता है? How is education being carried out in India? What are the enrollment rates of students? What are the learning outcomes? That is something that is covered by this report. See, as students, as children, we enrolled in schools at different ages. हम सब अलग अलग ages पर enroll हुए थे schools में. Some people were enrolled at the age of 3, 4, 5 or some even younger than that. Some people were even younger than that when they got enrolled in the school. So basically ASER क्या करता है, आपकी जब enrollment हो जाती है students की, when children get enrolled as students in the schools, it is not necessary that a child who is 5 years old is any less than a child who's 7 or 8 years old, or a child who is, let's say, 10 years old is doing better than a child who's 5 years old. सबकी learning capacity अलग होती है, सब बच्चों की learning capacity बहुत different होती है. It depends on various factors and most of the surveys right now which are being carried out by Government of India, जो भी surveys Government of India carry out करती है वो आपके learning outcomes पे नहीं. Those surveys are not based on learning outcomes, they are based on grades, they are based on enrollment ratio, कितने बच्चे स्कूल में एडमिशन ले रहे हैं, कितने टीचर्स प्रेजेंट हैं, कितने बच्चों के कितने परसेंटेज मार्क्स आ रहे हैं. So most of the reports that your Government of India is releasing, they focus on grades and marks of students. They do not focus on what students are actually learning. Now, why is it important to see what students are actually learning? Because education and cognitive development, it works in parallel. One cannot be isolated from the other. दोनों चीज़ें इकट्ठे काम करती हैं. Cognitive development, आपकी mental development, आपकी सीखने की capacity और education. So to plan education at the village, at the district, at the state level, at the national level, you need to understand how the mind develops and mind learns. तो उसी चीज़ का सर्वे कैरी आउट किया जाता है इन द एनुअल सर्वे ऑफ एजुकेशन रिपोर्ट. बेसिकली एसर सेंटर है, दिस इज़ द वेबसाइट ऑफ एसर सेंटर और एनुअल सर्वे ऑफ एजुकेशन रिपोर्ट. एंड प्रथम फाउंडेशन है, देर इज़ एन NGO कॉल्ड प्रथम. दे रिलीज अ लॉट ऑफ रिपोर्ट्स. प्रथम इज़ एक्टिवली वर्किंग ऑल अराउंड द कंट्री टू सपोर्ट एजुकेशन, टू सपोर्ट लर्निंग लेवल्स इन चिल्ड्रन ऑल अराउंड द कंट्री. एंड जो प्रथम के स्टैटिस्टिक्स होते हैं, प्रथम फाउंडेशन की जो स्टैटिस्टिक्स होते हैं, दे आर taken as official data for learning outcomes all across the globe, even by Indian government. So Pratham is a very important organization and Pratham से ही जुड़ा है ASER report और annual survey of education report. So let's read about it first. Let's see what ASER is, annual survey of education report. Annual Survey of Education Report basically it started in 2005. 2005 में शुरू हुआ था and since then it has been they have been releasing this report. ASER report आपकी annually आती है. In 2015 they completed 10 years of their existence, तो तब कोई report नहीं आई थी. And in the past 4 years because of the COVID-19 pandemic, your statistics could not be carried out. Since students were not going to the school, COVID-19 pandemic था तो बच्चे स्कूल नहीं जा पा रहे थे. तो अभी 4 साल के बाद report आई है. So this time it is not annual and the statistics which have come out, they are saddening and they are actually motivating both at the same time, because statistics काफ़ी अलग हैं. जो expectations थी COVID-19 के impact की Indian students के ऊपर, उससे काफ़ी हटकर हमारे पास statistics आए हैं. So your ASER, the annual status of education report, is a household survey of children's schooling and their ability to do basic reading and arithmetic tasks. So first of all, ये एक household survey है. It ASER, they do not go to schools to assess children. ये school में नहीं जाते हैं बच्चों के पास उनके test carry out करने के लिए. They go to houses of children. First of all, this is basically a rural survey. सिर्फ rural areas के लिए ही carry out किया जाता है, urban areas में नहीं होता. ASER report is not released for urban areas, only rural survey is being carried out. Secondly, it is a household survey. Household survey means लोगों के घरों में जाकर उनके बच्चों का टेस्ट लिया जाता है and these tests are oral, and they test basic numeracy skills and basic reading and arithmetic skills. बेसिक रीडिंग और अरिथमेटिक टास्क चेक किए जाते हैं बच्चों के घर जाके. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल बिकॉज ASER is trying to find out how many students are enrolled in the school. So if there is somebody who's not enrolled in the school, तो वो बच्चा आपको स्कूल में नहीं मिलेगा. You will not be able to find that child in the school. And there must be some students who must be absent on that particular day. जिस दिन सर्वे कैरी आउट किया जा रहा है तो कुछ बच्चे एब्सेंट भी हो सकते हैं. सो व्हाट दे डू इज दे गो टू द हाउसेज ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स एंड देन दे फिगर आउट हाउ मेनी स्टूडेंट्स आर एक्चुअली एनरोल्ड इन द स्कूल, हाउ मेनी स्टूडेंट्स आर अटेंडिंग द स्कूल, एंड तभी एग्जैक्ट डेटा जब आप बच्चों के घरों में जाकर सर्वे कैरी आउट करते हैं तभी आता है. दैट्स व्हाई इट इज नोन एज हाउस होल्ड सर्वे. इट इज़ नॉट अ स्कूल बेस्ड सर्वे. Thirdly, it only carries out basic reading and arithmetic tasks. तो बच्चों का oral test लिया जाता है. They're not given a written test or any other kind of test. Oral tests of students are taken and then they are assessed on their foundational literacy levels. It has been seen that if students are good in understanding arithmetic, basic mathematical problems solve करने के लिए, whether that's addition, subtraction, division, basic mathematical problems उनको दी जाती हैं orally, and then they are tested whether these students can solve them. And students up till 16, up till वेरी हाई एज ग्रुप, 5th क्लास के स्टूडेंट्स, 8th क्लास के स्टूडेंट्स को टेस्ट किया जाता है बेसिक अरिथमेटिक में एंड बेसिक रीडिंग कैपेसिटी में, वेदर दे कैन आइडेंटिफाई अ वर्ड, वेदर दे कैन understand the meaning of a sentence that is written in the book. So many a times it has been seen that students के marks बहुत अच्छे आते हैं, students attain very good percentages, but they're not able to understand the basic meaning of the sentence that is written in the book. So that is a challenge and that is the downside of our education system, which is brought to limelight on an annual basis by this annual survey of education report. So it has been facilitated by Pratham. Pratham is the NGO which facilitates ASER report every year from 2005 to 14. In 2014 they completed 10 years, 1 year break, and again in 2016 and 18. 2016, 18, and ASER is carried out by volunteers from a local organization in each district. So they do not have any permanent employees. Volunteers from each district they are taken and they go to rural areas to carry out the survey. These are from आपके जो डिस्ट्रिक्ट टीचर ट्रेनिंग इंस्टीट्यूट्स होते हैं, आपके जो डाइट्स होते हैं, जो लोकल कॉलेजेस होते हैं. सो दीज पीपल आर पीपल फ्रॉम दीज एरियाज, टीचर्स फ्रॉम दीज एरियाज, दे वॉलंटियर एंड दे पार्टिसिपेट इन द ASER सर्वे. सो yes. So traditionally, basically, as I told you that government के जितने भी statistics होते हैं, they tell us about grades, they tell us about marks and percentages. So ASER, as you can see in red, it remains the only annual source of data on children's actual learning outcomes available on scale in India, available on a very large level. See, first of all, this survey, ASER survey, it is not carried out for all the villages or for all the schools or for all the students of the country or for all the children of the country. That is very much not possible. Why it is not carried out? So how do you see that जो data आ रहा है, अगर सब बच्चों को assess ही नहीं किया गया है तो data क्या real भी है या reliable भी है या नहीं. So basically ASER, when they carry out their survey, they try to reach every alternate village, they try to reach almost all the villages of the country, and some households they are assessed. तो एक sample collect किया जाता है कुछ villages के कुछ घरों से and उसको फिर expand किया जाता है. Based on that, extrapolation of data occurs and on that basis data for the entire country is extrapolated and उस basis पर data release किया जाता है. So it's not that whether it's a household survey also that all the households are being assessed. No, only rural households and only a few selected rural households. So yes, this time 616 districts were assessed, in which 19,060 villages were covered, and there were 3,74,554 households, 74,554 households, they were covered for the survey. And how many children have been covered? Almost 7 lakh children have been covered, and there have been 591 partners who have made this survey a success, and around 27,000 volunteers who participated in carrying out this survey. And yes, we'll come to this. Yes, also for any students, for any children with mental or physical disabilities, or any children who are involved in child labor and not going to school, survey ASER does not cover these children. And when is it carried out? What is the time of carrying out this survey? टाइम तब होता है, सर्वे तब कैरी आउट किया जाता है जब स्कूल में एडमिशन सेटल हो जाते हैं. When your admission cycle has settled in the school, that is around mid-September. Most of the students who wanted to seek admission have taken admission in the schools and new admissions are not coming. So around mid-September survey is carried out, and around middle of January every year, around mid of January, the data or the report, ASER report comes out, and data of this household survey that is released. So it carries out, your statistics are available on 3 levels: district level, स्टेट लेवल एंड नेशनल लेवल. तो तीनों लेवल्स पर डेटा अवेलेबल होता है. एंड सिंस दैट इज एनुअल डेटा मोस्टली ड्यू टू द पैंडमिक it could not be annual. So since that data is very much updated, it is annual, it is of the recent cycle, जो आपके recent school cycle का data है. So basically it gives very good information to the district planning authorities, to the state planning, to the state education departments, and national education ministry to change policy accordingly, to allocate budgetary resources where students are lacking in learning outcomes. For example, physical education, there are not a lot of playgrounds available in many schools across the country. We'll come to that statistics in this report itself. So now, since the government knows that we need more playgrounds, so more budget allocation can be given towards that area. So that's how it happens. And there is an approach called teaching at the right level, not teaching at the right age. Right age can be, teaching at the right age. A child could be fit to be in standard 1, in class 1 at the age of 5, while other child could be fit to be in class 1 at the age of 7 or 8, or even when he's 10 years old. So learning outcomes basically differ, how children learn, they basically differ. So ASER is basically taking the approach of teaching at right level as compared to teaching at the right age. So this is a very unique report, and definitely quote this in your mains answers, prepare this thoroughly for your prelims exam. So yes, the next slide is again the same. Why does ASER test children at home and not in school? Because yes, many students might not be enrolled in the school, many students might be absent from the school on that day, and not all schools are actually registered with the government. It is very hard to find where the schools are located. So सारी schools की list available नहीं है. There is there is no proper list of schools that is available with any organization in the country. So they basically target households. They carry out household surveys, and children in the age group 5 to 16 they are tested. आपकी जो elementary education है, elementary education according to RTE Act, Right to Education Act, that starts from 6 years of age up to 14 years of age. 6 to 14 years of age में आपका right to education दिया जाता है, और elementary education is considered for children between 6 to 14 years of age. But on the contrary, ASER carries out the survey for students who are between 5 to 16 years of age, because it says that there must be many people who might have entered the school earlier. काफ़ी state governments allow करती हैं class 1 में जाने के लिए उन बच्चों को जो कि 5 साल की उम्र के भी हैं, and they continue to stay in school up till the age of 16 years. कुछ drop outs हो सकते हैं, कुछ हो सकता है कि कुछ class में कोई succeed नहीं कर पाए, so they do not pass to the next level. So 5 to 16 years age group है. Please remember that it is not in consonance with RTE. It is very much different, that the approach that ASER is taking. So yes, what are the results? See, we'll be covering the broad results here. After that, we'll go directly to the report. कुछ statistics और कुछ graphs हमें दिए गए हैं, and we'll be looking at these statistics directly, and these are the snapshots of the report that ASER has given to us. But there are some important statistics that are being discussed by all the experts. They are floating in newspapers. So we'll cover them first, and then we'll move on to the actual graphical representations of all these statistics. So the first data is about enrollment of students in schools, whether it's government schools or in private schools. So during the COVID-19 pandemic, because of the economic crunch a lot of families were facing, it was seen that there were many school dropouts. People were taking children out of schools because they could not afford schooling at all. So the number of students in government schools, that has increased. The proportion of children who are not currently enrolled also dropped to lowest level. जो बच्चे किसी भी स्कूल में enroll नहीं है, that has come to the lowest level it is about 1.6%. So according to this report, according to this sampling or this extrapolation of data that has been carried out, only 1.6% of the children, they are out of school, and as compared to the last report which came out in 2018, usme 2.8% children were out of school. Then there are more children who have enrolled in schools in the 6 to 14 age group in the last 14 years. But the contrary thing here is that though more students have enrolled in the schools, unki jo basic learning outcomes hai, they have gone down. So in this age group, 6 to 14 years of age, roughly, the ability to read text, there are two methodologies that ASER report is following, that whether students are able to read the text and whether they are able to carry out basic arithmetic calculations, subtraction, division and all. So that level of students, that learning outcome, that has gone down. So their ability to read text and solve basic arithmetic problems seems to be on a decline according to this report. So there was some data regarding class 3 students, whether class 3 students are able to read a book which they have already read in class 2. So that has dropped from like 27.3% in 2018 to 20.5% in 2022. There are many students who have not been able to read class 2 textbooks, whether even when they have been promoted to class 3, and similarly is the case for class 5 students also as well. The data, the text, the students, the number of the percentage of students, it has fallen down from 50.5% in 2018 to 42.8% in 2022. Also, exact data, exact percentage might not be important for your prelims, but at least these data points, roughly you should understand these data points. So another surprising fact that has come out is that though many of the families are trying to send their children to government schools to save on money that they could buy, for example, if they send their children to the private schools, so they'll have to spend a lot of money. So now parents are actually sending a lot of students to government schools. So the enrollment rate in government schools, that has increased. But on the other hand, parents are also spending more on private tuitions so that their child does not lag behind in studies. And private tuitions, if you carry out a statistics all over India, agar aap data ya statistics uthakar dekhte hain, private tuitions are mostly, parents mostly send their children for private tuitions in basically 2 subjects, in maths and sciences, in mathematics and science. So basic jo arithmetic ka jo aapka data hai, that has gone up. Learning outcomes in arithmetic, they have not fallen down that much because students are taking private tuitions for mathematics, but learning outcomes in reading, they have gone down. Also, percentage of girls after the COVID-19 pandemic or during the COVID-19 pandemic, it was thought that there would be financial crunch. Families के पास पैसे नहीं होंगे, so what they will do is they'll marry off their girls at a very young age, and number of child marriages would increase, or number of girls who would be forcefully married off would increase, and the number of dropouts of girls from schools, that would increase. But surprisingly and on a happy note, that has not been true. In fact, the percentage of girls in the age group of 11 to 14 years who were out of school, that has come down from the 2018 report. So that has declined to 2%, which was earlier 4.1%. The decrease in proportion of girls who are not enrolled in school, it is in fact even bigger in the 15 to 16 years age group of girls, which are more vulnerable to be married off beyond till a certain age or below a certain age. Their dropout rate, that has in fact gone down. It has come down to 7.9% as compared to 13.5% in 2018. So that is a very happy news. That is a very, a data that makes us happy that yes, number of child marriages must have been in control, and girls are not facing the brunt of COVID-19 pandemic or of the economic fallout. So yes, from here we'll look at exact data, we'll look at the graphs that have been given to us by this report. And since this reads India rural, so I'm again reminding you that this report talks about only the rural India. It does not cover your urban India. So yes, looking at the first set of data, I will zoom this for you. So the first set of data is about school enrollment. School enrollment, children enrolled in different types of schools and by age group and sex, that is where they have been determined. And this is the data that is coming for all the schools, for government schools, for private schools, for other schools, and there are students who are not in school. So this is where we are interested, that as of now how many students are not there in school. They are 1.6%, and just look at the number of children who are in different age groups and who are in different types of schools. So if you look at the entire data of 6 to 14 years of age, there are 72.9% of children who are enrolled in government schools and just 25% children in in private schools. Even when you go down to the higher age group, that time also you see that 1/4 of the students, they are enrolled in private schools. Rest of them, they are either in government schools or they are not in school or they are in other schools. So just as of now, there are 1.6% students who are not in school or they are dropouts, or they are not present, they are not enrolled with any school. So that is basically a positive news for India, that yes, more registrations, there are more children going to the school. And then these are the trends from 2005 or 2006 levels, that number of children who are not going to the school. This data talks about trends over time. Percentage of children not enrolled in school by age group and sex, and this is from 2006 to 2022. Children who are not enrolled in any school. So here they talk about 11 to 14 years boys, this red line. So 11 to 14-year boys who are not going to school, that is going down, that has gone down when it reaches 2022. These are just 1.6%. And 11 to 14 girls, this is the purple line that you can see again, that is going down, that these are just 2% girls which are not going to the school. Starting then you have 15 to 16 age group of boys, this dark blue line, again a major dip can be seen, and now that has come just to 7% boys. See, 11 to or 15 to 16 years boys, they are actually involved in child labor. That is where the problem comes in, when the children are adult enough to be working in some small shops or local areas, or to be working as child laborers. So that dropout, that graph going down, that there are less dropouts or there are less number of children who are not enrolled in school, that is a positive news. And similarly, it's for the girls also. 15 to 16 girls, though in both the cases the number of girls who are not going to school, or the percentage of girls who are not going to school, that is more than boys. So there are more girls out of school as compared to boys, but again that that graph is dropping, so that is a positive news. So yes, trends over time, percentage of children aged 16 to 14 years old enrolled in government schools. So if you see this graph, or if you look at this trend starting from 2006 onwards, it talks about how many children are enrolled in government schools. So starting from 2006 to 2022, you saw that around 2014 and 18, number of children enrolled in government schools, that has gone down. But again, due to the pandemic, it is to a historic high. In 2006, there were 73.4% students enrolled in government schools, and again now they are close to 73% again, 72.9% again, because yes, people have lost their jobs. There was this economic impact of pandemic which forced children to to leave private schools and to join government schools instead. So yes, we'll now be talking about the learning outcomes. In the learning outcomes, we'll see how the reading abilities of children have changed over time. So this data talks about percentage of children in standard 3, in class 3, who can read class 2 level text, जो कि ऐसे बच्चे जो कि class 3 में हैं और class 2 की किताब पढ़ सकते हैं. So in 2012, in government schools, only 16.7% people could read it, and that is again a very small percentage, while in private it was much better, almost double, but again not very impressive. Only 33.8% of people could do it, and average for both of them was government and private was 21.5%. Compare it with the latest data, and compare it with the data of 2018. So in 2018, this number of children who could read class 2 level book, and these children were in class 3, that was 20.9%. So yes, that definitely had gone up, and from 33.8% it went to 40.6%. But again, when you see after the pandemic, after the 2018 report, both these data, they have gone down. So learning outcomes of children, though they have been promoted to class 3, but they are not able to read what is present in class 2 book. So that has gone down, and that is almost approximately it has come down to 2012 levels. So that's why a lot of newspapers are talking about that learning outcomes have deteriorated to 2012 levels. Probably they'll get better in the next report, next January when the report comes out, but that is something we are yet to see. So yes, and similar outcomes can be seen for children of classes 5 and 8. Again, exact percentage is not very important. Compare the data which is present for 2012, 2018 and 2022 and use this in your mains answers and for comparative analysis in your prelims based questions. Exact data might not be important because there is a lot of data. So yes, comparing it from 2012 for government schools and for children who are in class 5 who can do some kind of division, that is arithmetic that we are talking about, the second learning outcome that the report assesses. So there were only 20% students who could do division in 2012, and that is we are talking about 5th class students. And in 2022 also there are just 21.6% students in government school and 38.7% students in private school. Other children cannot carry out division. And obviously the data is a bit higher for class 8 students. This is the data for class 8 students starting from this margin. Yes. So it is obviously better for class 8 students, but definitely only 40% or 41% students can do this. So for private schools just 50%, 53.8% students can carry out division who are studying in class 8. So that is a very challenging number for us. Then yes, about paid tuition classes. So for children who take paid tuition classes, which schools are they belonging to? कौन से ऐसे स्कूल में बच्चे जा रहे हैं, बच्चे कौन से स्कूल्स में जा रहे हैं जिनको पेड ट्यूशन क्लासेस की ज़रूरत पड़ रही है स्कूल के बाद भी? सो वेदर दीज आर कमिंग फ्रॉम प्राइवेट इंस्टीट्यूट्स, प्राइवेट स्कूल के बच्चे हैं, गवर्नमेंट स्कूल के बच्चे. सो मोस्टली the data is almost the same. 30.9% students who are there in government schools, they are taking tuitions after school, and almost 29.7%, that is closely 30% के आसपास बच्चे private school और government school में tuitions ले रहे हैं. And this data, this it has, although it has increased over time, it has increased after the pandemic. If you look at this statistics, this talks about this leftmost or the blue or the turquoise color, it talks about 2010 data, and your brown bar, it talks about 2022 data. So this data that has increased. So number of children who are actually taking private tuitions, that has increased over time for both the schools, for government schools also, private schools also. Also, this entire presentation is available on our Telegram channel. It would be posted right after the telecast of this video. So definitely check that out and don't worry about making notes. And this is about student attendance. If I talk about the colors, the left, that side, my right side, that talks about student attendance on one particular day, and this one talks about, this map talks about teacher attendance. So if you look at red colors are where student attendance is 50% or less than that. Then if you have orange or saffron color, attendance there is 60%. Yellow colors talk about attendance 70%, and green ones, they are good, 80-90%. So if you talk about teacher attendance mostly in most of the parts of the country, it is around 80 to 90% only. In southern states obviously it is better because they support education a lot. Education is very good in southern states. But if you look at these areas of Uttar Pradesh and all, then teacher attendance here is less. And the graph, the data that talks about student attendance, you see a lot of red areas especially in northern regions. So students in these areas, they are not attending schools. Less than 50% of students attended schools, and we have saffron and yellow also, and very less green when it comes to that area. Also, I think yellow is not visible. All these states which I am marking, these are basically yellow, starting from Jammu, Kashmir, Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, your northeast, Telangana and Chhattisgarh. And yellow denotes 70% attendance. So what we want is more of green areas. Then now the last data that we'll talk about is physical education. See, you have a program of government called the Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan. Earlier what we had different policies of government for primary education, for secondary education, or for higher education, for senior secondary education. All these policies, they were combined, they were taken under one scheme called the Samagra Shiksha scheme or the Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan. Under the Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan, some type of money, some amount of money is given to schools on an annual basis to buy sports equipment for students, to develop the culture of sports in the country so that students participate in physical activities, they develop team spirit, they are mentally and physically fit. So under the Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan, There is an annual grant of 5,000 rupees for primary schools, 10,000 rupees for upper primary schools, and 25,000 for secondary and senior secondary schools for procuring sports equipment for indoor and outdoor games. So, physical education is part of education. So, that is something that has been checked upon, that data has come out that physical education facilities in primary schools में कितनी physical education facilities हैं? How many schools have separate physical education teachers? So in 2018, there were just 5.8% schools which had a separate physical education teacher. Now that number has come down to 4.3%. So number of physical education teachers, that has also reduced. Then playground inside the school premises, only 64.2% schools had playground inside the school. We are talking about primary schools here, and now that number has come up to 66.6%. We want to take it to 100%. So availability of any sports equipment, whether a ball, a bat, or a basketball, anything like that is available in the school, any kind of sports equipment. So only 55% schools had any kind of sports equipment, even when the money is coming. In 2022, that has increased because now under the Samagra Shiksha scheme, money has started coming. So 80% schools have availability of sports equipment. And similar data for upper primary schools for 2018 and 2022. Separate physical education teacher, only 30.8% schools have it, and 31.3% in 2022. Playground inside the school premises for 2022, 71% schools have playground inside the school, and 82.7% schools have sports equipment availability. So, that's about the important data of your annual survey of education report. I hope, this video has been interesting for you. If there are other topics you want our team to cover, definitely let us know in the comment section. And if you have any doubts with regards to this annual survey of education report, post them in the comment section. Our team checks out all the comments that you post, and our team also responds back to you. Check out the presentation, check out this entire document on our Telegram channel. The link is there in the description. I'll see you with more discussions on the same channel. Stay tuned. In the future, more discussions would come up. Keep working hard, and all the best for your civil services journey.